she will pass her kid on to other people.
I do not get along with that family, so I would like no visitation.
Previously, we were here, we ordered genetic testing, and we have the results, which we would offer as State's Exhibit A at this time. And the results do not exclude, they're a little slow to pull up, Your Honor, I apologize. The results do not exclude Mr. Jackson as the father of the child in this case. And I apologize, we've had some issues with system slowness, but I'll share it on my screen and I'll offer it at a later time, Your Honor. We have an agreed recommendation for the most part. There's one issue that's contested. So if it pleases the court, I can go over the issues that are agreed and then get into the contested issues. So the parties would agree that based on the genetic testing, it's not opening for me, that Mr. Jackson be adjudicated as the father of the child subject of this suit. And we would need to add Mr. Jackson to the birth certificate as he's not presently on it, but the child already has his last name, so we don't need to change the last name. And then the parties would further agree that they are all joint managing conservators with the grandmother, Miss Jackson, as would be designated as the primary. Visitation is the contested issue, so I'll circle back to that later. Mr. Jackson would not pay, or he would pay, I should say, zero in child support and medical support beginning March 1st of this year because he is disabled as determined by the Social Security Administration, and he would not owe any back pay for the same reason. Ms. Blake would have a retroactive judgment entered against her for $6,200 or $6,200, and she would pay $50 per month beginning March 1st of this year. Child support would be set at $234, also beginning March 1st. Medical support would be set at $68 per month, also beginning March 1st, with the grandmother, Miss Jackson, to apply for the government program. And then the only issue that would be contested, like I said, Your Honor, is the visitation. So may I call the parties?
Yes.
Miss Jackson, if you would please state your name.
Dakoski Jackson.
And you are the paternal grandmother of the child in this case, is that correct?
Yes.
And you've heard me go over the terms of conservatorship, child support, medical support, and retroactive support as to both your son and to Miss Blake, is that correct?
Yes.
Are the terms that I went over your agreement this morning?
Yes.
And did you reach that agreement freely and voluntarily?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir.
And do you believe that agreement is in the best interest of this child?
Yes.
Okay. Now, Your Honor, if I can pass the witness in reserve or subject to have Ms. Jackson subject to recall on the visitation issue.
Sure.
Ms. Blake, if you would, please state your name.
Miss Brianna Blake.
And you are the mother of the child in this case, is that correct?
Correct.
And you've heard me go over the terms of conservatorship, child support, and medical support, and retroactive support, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And is that your agreement this morning?
Yes, sir.
And did you reach that agreement freely and voluntarily?
Yes, sir.
And do you believe that agreement is in the best interest of this child?
Yeah, I guess.
Okay. And then, Your Honor, I would also pass Ms. Blake subject to recall on the issue of visitation, if I may.
Yes, you may.
Mr. Kenneth Jackson, can you hear me?
Yes.
Did you hear the terms that I went over earlier as far as conservatorship, child support, medical support, and back pay, retroactive support?
Yes.
And are the terms that I went over as it relates to you, are you in agreement with those terms?
Yes.
And did you reach that agreement freely and voluntarily?
Yes.
Your Honor, I'd pass this witness also subject to recall.
Oh, if he's been actually sworn, if you can just please raise your right hand, sir, and you solemnly swear the testimony of Mr. Jackson, I'm sorry, just him, you all have been sworn, or you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give in this case is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? State your name.
Kenneth Jackson.
Thank you.
I apologize, Your Honor. If I can recall Miss Jackson?
Yes,
Yes.
Miss Jackson, if you would again, please state your name.
Dakoski Jackson.
And in this case, April is about 2.5 years old, correct?
Yes.
And how long has April been living with you?
Since she was a month old.
Okay. And since that time, have Miss Blake or Mr. Jackson been visiting with their child?
No, I went out there like 2 years ago when she was like 6 months. And I went to Brian and I let them see her, but nothing after that. It's been all video calls and phone calls.
Okay. Now, when you say you went out there, you're here in Cameron County and you said that you went to Bryan, Texas, so that they're both in Bryan?
Yes.
Okay. And so how did this child come to be in your possession?
They didn't have nowhere to go and they needed somebody to get her, and I went down there and got her, and we went to a store down there and got it signed and notarized, the paperwork that I picked up.
Okay. And now, aside from the distance between y'all, do you have any concerns if the parents exercise unsupervised visits with this child?
Well, the concern that I have with the mom is she will pass her kid on to other people to keep and raise. She have never just kept her kids consistently like a parent's supposed to. And with my son, I got her to help him so he won't go to jail because he has arrested as a sex offender.
Okay. And now the issue with the sex offender registration, whatever underlying conviction or deferred adjudication that came from, do you have concerns with that history and visitation with this child?
No, I don't. I don't believe he did that. It's just that's what they have him under.
Okay. So then the concern that you have with Miss Blake, it sounds like, is you're just worried that she's not going to take responsibility for this child if April were to go unsupervised or overnights with Miss Blake.
Correct. Or
Okay.
or bringing her back.
So would you want visitation to start out as supervised visits where instead of making you go up to Bryan, if the parents actually want to visit this child, they come down here to Cameron County and do 10 or 15 visits? Okay.
Can I say something?
I'm going to call you in a second, Miss Blake. I'm going to get everybody's story. Okay. It's just Miss Jackson's turn right now. Okay. Okay, Miss Jackson, if you could go ahead and repeat the answer. Are you asking that the visitation be stair step so that they build some more familiarity with April before they get to unsupervised visits?
Yes.
Okay. Now, do you want those visits to occur down here in Cameron County, or do you want to meet halfway? Do you want to go to Bryan? What are you requesting the court to do? If y'all don't agree, y'all can always agree, but if there's no agreement, we need something specific within the court order, okay?
To start out, they can come down here.
Okay. Okay. And is there a certain day that works best for you between Saturday or Sunday? Because eventually this child's going to go to pre-K 3 or kindergarten or whatever.
Right.
So
That's what I need a birth certificate for, because I can get her on the waiting list like right now before she turned 3, so she can be called when she become 3, and
okay.
she can be at Head Start right now.
Okay. So then based on your work schedule or whatever it may be, do you prefer the visits? Again, y'all can agree on any times, but since we need but is Saturday or Sunday better for you?
Saturday.
Okay. Okay. So we would do visits on one Saturday per month, supervised for a certain number of visits, and then have it step up to unsupervised and eventually overnight visits. Is that what you're requesting of the court?
Yes.
Okay. If I can, Your Honor, pass the witness and call Miss Blake.
Right.
Now, Miss Blake, if you would again, please state your name.
Brianna Blake.
Okay. Now, on the issue of visitation, would you agree with Miss Jackson's time frame that April went to live with Miss Jackson when she was about a month old? Miss Jackson's down here in Cameron County. You're in Bryan, Texas. Does that sound about right?
Yes.
Okay. And have you come down here to visit April?
No, I do not have a car.
Okay. So Miss Jackson said she would take April up there for y'all to visit for a few months.
Honestly, I will not be able to rearrange my schedule, nor am I going to try to. I was going to request no visitation.
Okay. So sometimes the court will set visitation in case you change your mind. This is a young child. You are this child's mother. So if the court just sets it at supervised visits,
I
you
do
can
not
come.
get along. I do not get along with that family. So I would like no visitation.
Okay. Well, again, sometimes judges, they don't want to just say no visitation because parents may change their mind. But if the judge just says supervised visits on the first Saturday of each month from 10 to 2, you can exercise it or not exercise. That's entirely your prerogative. Do you see how there's kind of an option there if you change your mind? Whereas if the court says no visitation, then if Miss Jackson says no visitation ever, then that's what you have to do until you modify the order. Do you see why setting something may be beneficial if you change your mind going forward?
I see why it'll be beneficial, but it's not beneficial to me because I cannot do a Saturday and I cannot change my schedule.
Okay. Well, again, things change. There's 15 years or so before this child is 18 and graduated from high school. Okay. So we can leave it. We'll leave it to the judge's discretion then. Okay, Ms. Blake?
Okay.
I'd pass the witness and call Mr. Jackson. Can you hear me, sir?
Yes.
If you could speak up, I'm having a little trouble hearing you.
Yes, I can hear you, sir.
Okay. And if you would again, please state your name for the record.
Kenneth Jackson.
And you live currently in Bryan, Texas. Is that correct?
Correct.
Now, I went over kind of the schedule that your mom was going to propose where you have supervised visits for a certain number of visits so the child can build some familiarity with you, and because the child is not quite 3 years old, and then it would go to unsupervised and eventually to overnight visits. Are you comfortable with that type of schedule, or what are you requesting today?
I wouldn't know. I wouldn't know at all, actually. What answer could I give? I wouldn't know.
Are you asking for visitation?
If it's possible, but I don't think that's possible.
Okay, and why do you think it's not possible?
The kind of position I'm on is not even going to put me in a position to where I can.
Okay. So then would you just say the same schedule for that Miss Blake has? You do the third Saturday of each month. She does the first from 10 to 2 supervised. And if y'all exercise visitation, great and wonderful. If you don't, you don't.
No, okay. Let's rearrange and do this all over again. The first question that you had asked, yes, I agree with the requirements.
Which part? The visitation part that I said it's supervised, the step up. It starts supervised. Yes. Okay. Now, your mom says Saturday works best for her schedule. Does that work for your schedule?
Yes.
Okay. So then what I would propose based on what y'all have said, mom gets first Saturdays of each month. She can choose not to exercise it from 10 to 2 at Miss Jackson's house or at a mutually agreed location, unless they all want a public place. And then you would have the third Saturday of each month, sir. Same time, 10 to 2 for 10 visits. Because you're only doing it once a month, then your daughter would be about 3.5, more or less. Okay. And if you're doing the visits, then you would progress to the next step. If you're not doing the visits, then you stay on the supervised portion until you do 10 visits, or you can throw out 15 or 20. So I'll kind of throw out some numbers that y'all can see what works for you. And then it would be 10 visits of unsupervised visits from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. on the third Saturday of each month. And if you exercise that, then it would progress to the standard possession order, which, you know, is holidays, summers, 42 days in summer, since you're over 100 miles away, 1 weekend per month. That would be kind of the normal progression, but you have to build a relationship and show that you can take care of this child first. Does that make sense, sir?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so are you in agreement with that type of schedule? Not in agreement?
I'm agreeing with the requirements. Yes.
Okay. And Your Honor, if I can pass witness and recall Miss Jackson just to see if that works for her.
You may.
Miss Jackson, you heard me go 10 visits supervised, 10 visits unsupervised, and then the overnights, holidays. Would
Yeah.
that be sufficient for your son's visitation schedule?
Yes.
Okay. And for either your son or Miss Blake, would you want the supervised visitation or the pickup and drop off to occur at a public place, or are you okay with either of them coming to your house for the visits?
I'm okay with them coming. They
Okay.
can come to my house.
Okay. Okay. So then, Your Honor, I'd pass the witness and ask the court to, I mean, I don't want to say it's agreed, but it sounds like they kind of all.
Well, the court's going to honor the Ms. Blake's request for no visitation and honor the father's request for the limited supervise as you have elicited and Ms. Jackson has agreed to.
The stair step, Your Honor, that I went over with.
That's correct. Yes.
Okay.
That's my order.
And
For
then,
cost as assessed.
and Your Honor, so when we have these three-party cases with two parents, we typically would say mama's 50% and daddo's 50%.
That's right.
Okay?
That's correct. Yes.
Okay. Okay. Then that would cover everything that we have, Your Honor, in this case.
That's my order in this matter. Good luck to you all. Thank you, Ms. Jackson. Continue doing a great job with that child.
You're welcome. Can I ask a question?
Yes, ma'am.
So I go to the Attorney General office to get the paperwork down
That's
here.
correct, ma'am. Yes.
Okay. Okay.
We'll actually
you.
mail it out to you, Ms. Jackson. So you should get a copy of an order within about 2 weeks.
Thank you, Ms. Blake. You're excused.
And I take this order to where to get the birth certificate.
I'm going to move you to a breakout room, and one of our staff members can kind of talk to you about that. Okay.
Okay.
So let me find a room.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. Click join when you get it. I'm going to move you to room 19. Okay.